just about done setting all the floor tile. Just a couple of things I want to talk about. This tile is done. When you're screeding out your Thinset, you're doing it kind of thin. So I don't know where my trowel is at, but you're taking your trowel and doing it kind of at a, not even a 45-degree angle, kind of like a 22.5-degree angle. So you don't get a whole lot of Thinset. But sometimes you can't help it. There's little dips in the floor that are unavoidable, or perhaps you got too much Thinset. Best advice I could give, get it out now. So if you got little areas, maybe like this, that you don't want the Thinset to show, yeah, take it out now while it's wet. Make your life a lot easier when you go to grout. Also, sponge off your extra Thinset that you slopped around on top of the tile before the end of the day. You'll thank me later for that. That's about it. Like I said, I did all my pre-cuts, well, except for the end. I had to do those individually. And then on the inside, you have to do those individually, so it takes some time. Now I get to the drain portion. So what I do in particular, and I've never seen a tile guy do this before, but you know, I like to do taper cuts. So, well, that's not the tile that goes there, but the taper cuts, right? So that one will go right there. And yes, I still make a little circle best I can. I draw it out on the tile. I'll do that a little darker so I can see it when it goes through the wet saw. But once I make my little circle cut, then I do a little taper on the edge of it. Because if you see, my tile is just slightly, maybe an 1/8 of an inch off the surface of the drain. And then that little taper cut will give it positive water flow going into the drain. And that's just the way I do it. If I have a circular drain, if I have a square drain, I cannot do that. More often than not, I can't do it. I have before, but it's an anomaly. It depends on the tile. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Alright, all the tile is set. My little taper cuts are done around the drain, just like I told you, about 1/8 of an inch higher than the drain cap. And that allows positive water flow, so there'll never be any pooling. Plus, your slope is done correctly. With any luck, when you put the level, your bubble wants to go backward in all different directions. 1/4 inch per foot, nominal. 1/4 inch per foot, you know, water will still run off. But if you can get a better slope than that, then, you know, more power to you. But all the way around. And then, from side to side, and you can tell where it hits the floor there, and then it hits the floor up there, about the same spot, and it just happens to be level, which is wonderful. What else can I say? Oh, I know what it was. If I didn't say it already, I may have missed it. When you're doing your floor tile, and you're not putting a lot of Thinset down and all that stuff, you're using a float, rubber float, to push all your tile down, especially with mosaic, so that they all end up even, that you don't have no little lippage going on. Another little thing that I try and do is what I call the blind man test. Rub my hand across it as if I can't see. I can just feel a whole lot better, see if there's any tile sticks up too far, and then take care of that. This one, that one is too far down. I'm going to take this individual, I'm going to cut this one out, because as I ran my hand across it, all the tile around it are higher. So I'm going to cut that out and bump it up. But yeah, that one I got to take care of. That's the best I can tell you. Tomorrow when this is dry, grout, and then start doing the wall tile. I'm going to come back on camera for a moment, let you see that I have grouted the inside of the niche. And decided to go with gray. It's DeLorean gray, so it's gonna be really light when it dries. It's not completely 100% dry just yet, but it will be. In the meantime, I'm gonna put like an extra piece of sheetrock. You can put cardboard or whatever. You don't have to wait for it to totally dry, but yeah, wait about an hour or so with a fan on it. Then you can put some cardboard or sheetrock down or whatever, so you don't mess up the grout. Little taper cuts I told you about before, It just looks really good to me. What else? Oh, I put my ledger boards up. So the ledger boards are, yes, screwed into the wall. And so once those come off, once you start doing your tile and the next day it dries and you pull the boards off, then you can put some little silicone into those holes. But again, what I said before, there's never a problem here. It's ankle below. Ankle below is where a shower fails, not the walls. So yes, you can still put silicone in there, but you're not really doing a whole lot. The ledger board should be level as much as possible. Level as much as possible, because all your tile has to follow up. And what else could I tell you about that? Oh, so what I did is I did a measurement from my tile all the way to the ceiling, 84 inches, and I think a half, I believe, 84 and a half inches, something like that. The way that I set the tile really has a lot to do with where things are going to land. I don't want a sliver cut at the top, nor do I want to cut the tile in half and have 6 down there and 6 up there, or whatever the math ends up being. And since tile is all nominal, they're never really 12 by 24. It'll be, I've had them 11 and a quarter by 23 and a quarter before. So you have to do the math ahead of time, and I suggest laying them out with the leveling clips already in place. The leveling clips won't give you a thorough idea of the spacing, because that spacing will vary a little bit as you go up. But that's the best you can do to get your math right. So my math is actually, oddly enough, perfect, because by the time I poured the pan and put the tile on and all that stuff, this is 84 and it's pushing 3/4, and my layout is actually about 84, or vice versa, my layout of my tile. What I don't want to do, and I've had it happen a couple of times, a little sliver cut when you get down here. So imagine doing an L cut and then this part becomes a little sliver cut. So I try and avoid that. If I know I'm going to get into that by doing the math, if I know I'm going to get into a small sliver cut, then yes, I will probably shave off, 2 inches or 4 inches of one of these tile, and then make up the difference when I get to the top. Yeah, so that's how I kind of avoid any type of sliver cut. The math left to right, some people want their first tile center, and then whatever ends up happening left and right ends up happening. In this case, I got really lucky. I put a tile all the way up, it went to that line, another tile all the way up, went to that line, and there's 12 left over. And it won't be 12, it'll be, by the time the spacers are there, about 11 3/4 or so. So the math on this wall is perfect for me to do my stagger. So it'll be full, half, full, half, going back and forth all the way up. And then that half will get a replication of a tile. I won't do another half over there. I'll do a full over there. But you could do it either way. I don't know. It really depends. It's very subjective on how the layout's done. It's rare that I'm ever able to make my layout happen right to the bottom of the niche. There's a guy out there, Landberg Tile. He changed his name. He changed his name. But anyway, search for Landberg, B-E-R-G. He always hits the bottom first, but he uses prefab niches. My niches are about 13 and a half. And with the prefab niches, he can make that math happen. But he's actually excellent on making sure that the tile lands right there, another full tile there, and then the next tile will go up to the top. That's a skill, and I don't know quite how he does it, because I would have to build my niche after the fact. I would have to run my tile up and know where the last one lands and then build my niche, and I don't do that. So yeah, let me show you this for a minute. I have my camera facing down while I show my homework. This is my dry fit going all the way to the ceiling, and this math works perfect. I think I end up with about 1/2 inch of discrepancy at the top, but again, these tile aren't going to be set exactly level. Even though leveling clips are in there to give me 1/8, some of them will be a little better than 1/8. Also, I have a box full of shims and stuff that when my first row of tile is down there, yes, that is level and it should sit right on my board, but I'll usually bump it up if I know I need to bump up to make up some difference. then I'll bump that up for maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe a little less than a 1/4 inch. All the tiles around will get bumped up. They'll still be level, but I'll do a little bump up to make up the discrepancy. Work it the way you want to. Everything, all the prep that I did prior to the tile is the most important thing. Prep matters. How the tile looks at the end is way up to you. Like, it just does, all the math that I talked about and how to get things right, blah, blah, blah. You know, you do what you do to make it look the way you want it to. Because this is just wall covering at the end of the day. Oh, and by the way, these tile have a very, very faint vein. I think all of them have a very faint vein, so I don't have to necessarily worry about, I'm going to try the best I can, but on a stagger, it's really difficult to match up the veins. If you do straight up and down with this tile, which nobody wants to do, it's a little easier to match up veins, but also on a lot of tile, this one, the exception, there'll be an arrow. So the arrow will be imprinted onto the tile. And so if you run all the tile the same direction as the arrow, it will help you with the veins, but it's not 100%. So even if there's arrows, I'll probably, well, for the most part, I ignore them because they don't really help match up veins. But in this case, the veins are so faint that I'm not even gonna worry about it. And that's about it. That's all I can tell you. I'm gonna start slinging tile, and yeah, I'll be back. I guess about an hour has gone by and I've done 3 rows already, getting ready to do my 4th. I'm going to stop it on 4 because it's getting to the end of the day. So you saw what I just did, right? Put in your leveling clips. You want to clear, you don't want them all, leveling clips all gooped up by that Thinset. And it doesn't matter what tool you use to do that. You could use your trowel or whatever, even a screwdriver or whatever. You don't have to get specialty tools necessarily. Wet saw, yes, 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 and yes again. But you don't necessarily have to get all the tools that you see tile guys have. It's not really necessary. I've been plenty of places in the world where they do a lot less. Sorry, they do a lot more with a lot less. Anyway, so those are leveling clips. Now they're ready. Another thing too. Oh, before I put the leveling clips on, I'm gonna show you. Right on point. Isn't that beautiful? That's on purpose because I want it to be as symmetrical as possible. And that's why all the prep and all that stuff matters the most. As I told you before, the 3 or 4 inches that I have for the L cut, perfect. I don't want a little sliver cut down there. And we'll go about halfway up the niche, I believe. And then the other half will have the L cut as well. I can't show you the entire process of tiling, but leveling clips make it so you have nice, oh, the tile matters too. Get rectified tile. Spend more for your tile. That's one of those things in life that you get what you pay for. So spend more for your tile. You don't want any kind of minimal lippage. I'd say any kind. You're always going to have maybe some here and there. What else can I tell you? I think that's it. I can't go through the process of how to set tile. I have another video on how to build an entire shower. It's 30 minutes long. You can watch that on the link up there if you like to, as soon as you get done watching this. And I think I go through more explanation because it's more of me talking as I'm working, as opposed to me just doing stuff and then after the fact telling you what I did. So there you go. I'm gonna get started doing these 3 and then move over to the left wall and the right wall, and my day will be done. All right, it's the end of my day. Things turned out very, very well. I put a little Thinset in here because sometimes, you know, there's like, things aren't perfect. It's not a perfect world. There's a little dip in here. So I put Thinset in there. So when I do put my top in here, it's gonna be a curb top that I'm gonna cut windowsill style. That's the only reason for that Thinset on the inside of there. Plus it makes the tile stick a lot easier. Put these inside of the Thinset overnight and I can pop them out if if they're not lined up where I need them, I can pop them out, but generally it's not a good idea unless you have a little cavity in there. You can make a cavity, just put that inside of there and then flip it upside down, or clean it off and put a new one in and make a little cavity. So then you can go ahead and thin set your wall and all that stuff. Take these out tomorrow. Or you could use a Dremel. If there's not a cavity, you could use a Dremel and with a blade, and yeah, you can still cause yourself a little hole to put this clip in next day. But that's all I'm doing today. The rest of it will be tomorrow. All of this will be tomorrow. I'll be able to pull off my boards tomorrow and do the bottom row, and maybe even get the curb done, and maybe the niche. It'll be the curb or the niche. I don't know that I'll do both. There'll be 2 more days, tomorrow and the next day. And the next day, anything that I haven't tiled, I'll tile that second day and do all the grouting. I don't know what other things I can tell you. I know there's going to be questions in the comment section that I missed. Fat butter everything, and then screed some wet Thinset on top of there. And it should slide right on. And you're trying to get your level, your slope coming down. I already pre-sloped it, so it's got a little bit more slope than it actually needs, but especially where water is going to get onto, I'd rather have it a little more slope than not enough. That's it. That's how you do that. Well, I didn't show how to do it, but it's pretty obvious. You just notch out. This was a 36-inch piece. I needed 34. So 2 of those inches are on the outside of here. Just notched it out. 2 of those inches are over here. Notched it out. And yeah, windowsill design. You could do this prior to the tile and then have the tile sit on top of the edge of here. Just bump it out a little bit more than this little inch that I have. I've just never done it that way. This little area will get grout. Then I can put in my top part and my 2 side parts. Well, the side parts will go up first. Sorry, my bad. Top part will go up first, and then the 2 side parts go in there with a slight little angle cut. Windowsill niche is kind of a cool idea because it allows the water to just shed off the edge of here instead of, yeah, I don't know. I just started doing that some years ago, and I just like the idea of it. In fact, I did it for myself, but my recess that I have here, or the bump out that I have here, is a lot less. What else? I did all the rest of the tile. Get a hole cutter if you're going to be doing it yourself. It's a lot. It looks better than doing a square. Yeah, you could still do a square. It's still going to take time, but get a hole cutter. You could do this with an angle grinder. I didn't. Sometimes the angle grinder works on some tile and sometimes it doesn't. It'll crack on you, and I've gone through 3 or 4 pieces and I'll just give up with an angle grinder. So I'll just do it on my wet saw and just notch out, notch. It takes, I don't know, about 5-8 minutes to notch out one of these sides here. This one's a little bit too far, but no big deal. And so at the very beginning, you saw how I put this mud guard is your inside and your outside parameter rather. So yeah, you don't want to be further out than here, and I'm pretty flush with it right now. So yeah, it's a good plan. Make sure you plan ahead for your tile and your Thinset when you set your valve. I don't know if you're going to set your valve. I don't know what you're going to do. But I go through some of the questions that I anticipate that I might get. What else could I tell you? Oh, I ended up with a sliver cut. There's about about an inch sliver cut going on up there. Because the math, as I thought when I started, the math I thought would work out with full tile down here rather than cutting the difference. 2/3 of a tile or 75% of the tile have it down here, and then the other quarter up there, or even in half. I didn't want to do that. And so once I did the math and I figured out, wow, we got a discrepancy, can I just bring that discrepancy up to the top and have it covered up with grout and all that stuff? And my customer said that's fine. Anyway, the best laid plans sometimes don't work out, but as I said, my customer was fine with having that sliver cut. We don't like doing that, but fortunately, just like my tile is like travertine-ish tile, and my grout matches up, and you can't even tell. I could tell because I already know, but you're not going to be able to tell when all this is grouted and all that stuff. Worst case scenario, some people that don't like that could put up crown molding. There's plastic crown molding that you can put up to hide that discrepancy if you like, but as I said, my customer was fine with that. In fact, he wanted full tile at the bottom, and the only way to make that happen with the math, well, there's no way to make that happen. Again, this tile is supposed to be 12 by 24, I forgot now. I think it's 11 and a half. So if any manufacturer would actually make a 12 by 24 tile, we wouldn't have that problem. Nothing else I can say. Finishing out my day, there'll be one more day to put in this bottom row of tile, do the curb, put the curb top on, and finish up grouting. But before I leave today, I'm finish out the niche. And that's all I have to say about that one. I know I'm forgetting something. I know there's going to be questions. If anybody wants a consultation, hit me up on PayPal. Send me some money on PayPal and send your phone number, and I will do a one-on-one consultation with you if you have any apprehension. Oh, I know. So I leave a gap here. There's no thinset about an inch and a half outside of this tile. It's completely hollow. Completely hollow. Because when my Schluter goes in there, I'm going to push in thinset with my 6-inch blade, push in thinset, and then I'm going to slide my Schluter right inside of there. It's a lot easier doing it that way, lining up your tile nice and straight and all that stuff, than it is other ways. Because there are other ways. I just don't do it the other way. I cannot help you with the cuts. I cannot help you with these cuts because everybody has their own way of doing it. I do it on a chop saw. You could do it with a tile saw. Tile saw is a little harder. It's a cleaner cut, but it's a little harder to get it perfect. So you have to figure out your own way. And then slide that right in, push it into the thinset. Let it grab onto it really well. And then you can do your inside cuts to the exact size that you need. Inside cuts of your tile. Struggling with one hand, trying to get this flush inside of there. Yeah, that's how you do. So to be fair, I call this Schluter strip only because it's the term I got used to, but transition strip is probably a better way to call it, because if you ask for a Schluter strip somewhere, they may not have Schluter, like Home Depot doesn't carry Schluter. So then they'll like, what are you talking about? So transition strip, what you want to ask for. Try and get this little excess out of there because you want grout to go inside of there. Although my grout's going to be still white, so it'll kind of blend anyway. But yeah, now you can get a precise measurement, and this should be flush across your finger like that. You can get an exact measurement on the inside cut of your tile, and then just glue the inside pieces of tile in there, and then your niche is done. So I'm going to move on from there and get to the bottom row, and I'll show you how I do a back cut on that. Well, I'm going to show you the cut. I'm going to explain to you how it's done. All right, I was going to show you how to, you know, like mark your first tile. I do my first tile last. I was going to show how to mark that, but I got so close with my measurement. Look at that. That's not even luck. Like sometimes I'm so good it just kills me. But that's not where I want the tile. So I have a slope that comes from that corner downward. So there'll be a little shave. There's a slight little mark you can see where my middle point is, which is right down the corner of that tile. So that fits in there like a glove, but then because of my slope, I have to shave off a little of the bottom. But basically, let me come over here. So this is not where the tile goes, but I do it backwards, right? Set the tile up there backwards. And then the distance between there and a grout line. So I want a grout line, a slight grout line at the bottom and a slight grout line at the top. So I'm going to put a mark right at about 1/8 of an inch. Okay? And because the floor isn't perfect, I'm also going to put a mark on that side. Then I transfer, because I can tell where the corner is, I transfer that mark to the front. And when I transfer it to the front, and I make that cut at the bottom, and I turn it right side up, that cut that goes along the bottom there makes the tile fit like a glove every time. Let me repeat. Bring your tile upside down. That's upside down and backward. You saw I flipped it upside down, right? That's where the cut's going to be. Remember where the mark is? So it's upside down and backward. And then you do both the measurement over here, because that might be different than over here, slightly. So you do both measurements on the edge of the tile, and then transfer that mark to the front of the tile, and it fits in like a glove every single time. Fortunately, I don't have to do that here. I just have to shave a little bit at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and run this tile. Hope that helped. So the sides and the top are in, and this piece is just pulling this piece of Schluter up because it was bending a little bit or bowing or whatever. And so that will be taken down tomorrow. So yeah, looking good. You don't have to do 45 cuts. You can do, you know, a straight cut if you want to. I just think it looks better. Got all the pieces in at the bottom, and got all the pieces in on the curb on the outside, and both on the inside. And, you know, symmetrically speaking, full piece in the middle, and then 17 and 17 on the ends and the inside as well. And I have my curb top cut down to 58, which is my opening. And you can see all the buttering that I did on the inside. And I butter the curb top, set it in place, wiggle it around a little bit, make sure the dog doesn't step on it, or whatever animal is in the house. I'm good to go until tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be grouting, putting the pretty stuff on. Really nothing else. I guess there's a lot of stuff that I'm not showing. You can go to my channel. I have over 700 videos that show different things. How to set tile, how to, you know, like everything. How to build a niche, how to do all that stuff. You can look it up on my channel or other people's channel. But I don't get paid for any of this stuff, so, you know, I'm not going to go balls to the wall and just show everything. I don't have a second hand. I don't have a cameraman either, you know, to show all that stuff, but I do the best I can. This is 5 days last week, sorry, the week before, 4 days last week, the week before. So 4 days and then 5 days. So this is 9 days to get to this point. Tomorrow is like an hour and a half, 2 hours of grouting and putting the pretty stuff on and all that stuff. So I don't really count that day. So figure 9 days for somebody that knows what they're doing. If it takes you twice that long, you know, takes you 18 days, and then fine. Oh yeah, and then tomorrow I gotta slide my Schluter strip inside of there and on top of there too. But if it takes you longer, take your time, make sure you do it right. But that's all I have to say. Hope you learned something, hope it helped you out, and I'll show the final when the final's done. And this is the final product after the grouting. The grouting always does everything for a shower. Everything, everything. Here's my drain with the little taper cuts around there that I like. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, by the way, I think I said it before, don't get the cheap drain. $12 gonna get you crap. Spend the $28 for that. This turned out very, very well. Very nice indeed. And oh, I gotta put the pretty stuff on. I forgot. I gotta put all that stuff on. Anyway, it is done. As I said before, the top little sliver tile, little 3/4 inch tile, kind of disappeared into the mix, which I knew it would. So I'm glad my customer agreed that it was okay to do that. Not ideal, but it worked. So it turned out very good. As I said before, about 9 days, figure 10. If it takes you 18 days, 20 days, you know, just do it right. But it's not a weekend project, I'm gonna put it like that. Definitely not a weekend project, but you can do it. You can do it as a homeowner. I think I mentioned this in the very beginning, I don't know if I did or not. The total cost for me to do this, which was undercutting myself, it's about $6,500. So if you did this yourself, you would save at least that. What I would normally charge, I'm a little bit slow right now, so he got a deal. What I would normally charge on a job like this is about $8,000, and it would be well worth it too. So yeah. Anyway, I'm out. Well, not quite out. I got to put the pretty stuff on. And my homeowner wants to help me. Sorry, my homeowner wants me to help him put in the slider shower doors, which I'm not looking forward to, but I told him I'd help him, so that's what I'm gonna do. And there it is. I love these little shower wand things because it's a very strong magnet. Very strong magnet. This is Mullen, I think. But yeah, I like those. Very cool. Yep, that's it. Well, shower doors. Yeah. Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're gonna call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post videos. And thank you very much for your support.